In this week's edition of the program, we reflect on major events that shaped the environment in the past year. Welcome. I am Esther Mokwariola. "2024 has been a year of both challenges and progress for Nigeria's fight against climate change. From devastating floods that displaced thousands to bold steps toward reducing emissions and building resilience, the country's environmental story reflects the urgency of action and the hope for a sustainable future.
Floods wreaked havoc across Nigeria, affecting more than 178 local government areas. From Jigawa to Adamawa, Taraba to Bayelsa, thousands were displaced, homes were destroyed, and farmland submerged. Authorities had warned earlier in the year that 31 states were at risk, but the scale of destruction revealed the monumental task of climate adaptation.
The flood swept away my farm, leaving me with almost nothing. The situation is dire. With my farm washed away by the flood waters, we are now struggling to find food to eat.
In Borno, the collapse of the Alau Dam caused massive flooding, leading to widespread destruction and severe health risks, with thousands displaced and in urgent need of help. Governor Babagana Zulum called for urgent intervention, while Vice President Kashim Shettima described the disaster as the worst in over 30 years. He assured that the government will provide support and stressed the need for better flood control measures.
People build homes right inside waterways, thereby reducing the width of the canals. These are some of the factors that are responsible for the overflowing. But most importantly, we are witnessing rainfall, storm, that has not been seen in the recent years, up to 50, 60 years ago. So the soil has become completely saturated.
About 50 trucks of rice are on their way to Maiduguri. They have started loading at their depot, and more aids will come from federal establishments, organizations, and private sector.
Even Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, wasn't spared. Torrential rain submerged major districts, sparking concerns about the city's vulnerability as a low-lying coastal hub. For many, it was a harsh reminder of the worsening effects of climate change.
The reality is we're going to be getting a lot more rain. This is just the reality that humanity has to face. This is due to the anthropogenic effect that we're having on the environment, specifically the pollution that's been going up into the atmosphere that has been causing extra heating of the earth that is now causing more evaporation. And of course, you have more evaporation, you're going to have more water falling. So the reality is there's going to be a lot more rain. In fact, some people don't even call it rainfall. They say that what we're having now is rain bombs, where you will have rain that would normally fall over a period of 1 week. It can fall just in 1 day.
Despite the challenges, Lagos made strides in tackling climate change. At its 10th annual International Climate Change Summit, the state unveiled plans to cut carbon emissions and enhance climate resilience. Sustainable waste management initiatives and advocacy campaigns gained traction, with schools and communities playing a vital role in promoting eco-friendly practices.
We must accelerate our efforts to mobilize climate finance and channel it towards projects that prioritize local adaptation initiatives. This means investing in infrastructure.
Meanwhile, the Niger Delta continued to grapple with ecological devastation. Oil spills devastated marine ecosystems and livelihoods, prompting communities to demand stricter regulations and greater accountability from oil companies.
Those who will go after crayfish and the special swamp area fish that they get every year, they will deny. The people of Ogboimbiri will be denied that this year.
And you know, as people in the riverine area, in this area, it is farm work and fish farming. Now this is September. These are only means of livelihood. So these things are affected. So the truth of the matter is, what we need now is a cleanup.
On the global stage, Nigeria's participation in the COP29 climate summit in Azerbaijan highlighted its commitment to clean energy and sustainability. However, the summit left developing nations like Nigeria dissatisfied, citing inadequate financial commitments from developed countries.
This is an insult to what the convention says. Should I remind us of what the convention says? That it noted that developed countries had the largest share of historical and current global emissions. This might be 1994, but it's still very current till now. It also said that the developed countries would take the lead, and this lead is climate finance. That the developing country is saying that it's taking the lead with $300 billion till 2035 is a joke.
As we step into 2025, the path ahead demands collective action. From implementing climate-smart solutions at home to advocating for equitable support globally, Nigeria's fight against environmental crisis is far from over. Yet, with sustained effort, innovation and resilience, the nation can chart a future where both its people and planet thrive. Esther Mopariola, TVC News.
And still on events that shaped the year 2024, residents living along floodplains in Lagos had to contend with the floodwaters following the release of water from Oyon Dam. Well, in the meantime, state authorities asked residents to relocate to higher grounds, even as it worked with relevant agencies to mitigate the humanitarian impact.
In this community, the sight of flooded streets may seem unusual, but for the residents, it's an annual ordeal they've grown accustomed to. Some say it's been this way for as long as they can remember, while others have resigned themselves to the constant threat of floods. This is Ajewole community in Ikosi Sherry Local Council Development Area in Lagos, severely affected by the flooding caused by the release of water from the Oyon Dam. While the state governments have urged residents in these areas to move to higher grounds, some residents here tell me they don't have that option. Kelechi, a mother with 3 children, has lived here for 12 years. She has repeatedly received warnings from state authorities to relocate, but financial constraints make it impossible.
If this water goes, some people sick because of the water. But for me, I'm using malaria, typhoid, all those medicine for them. I'm using it for them, even agbo, to prevent the sickness that will come after this water. I just pray that the government should please help us any way they know they can do for this flood to stop.
With her home already overtaken by floods, she tells me she's not scared of aquatic animals like snakes lurking in the area. She tells me how she wards off unwanted creatures, which she claims has been effective.
I use bitter cola, all the old rooms. I pour bitter cola, but the window I pour battery there, and I do use coil in the morning, in the night, so that the odor of the smoke will make them to be far from me. I've seen so many people that use the bitter cola. So many people that make snakes to run far from them. Even the silly, I pour on the silly too, so I won't be able to feel the snake.
Living in these tough conditions, her source of water is already contaminated, but she applies a method to make it safe for use.
I'm using it, I put alum inside, because I fetch it inside drum. I put alum inside. This is just for bathing. I don't use it for cooking. I fetch water for cooking. I don't use this kind of water. I cannot even smell the odor, talk less of using it and cook.
Other residents blame the worsening flood situation on poor drainage, indiscriminate waste disposal, and illegal construction on drainage systems. They are calling on the state government to address these issues.
If you go to that canal there, sometimes in September, we have cleared the drainage for easy torrential movement. And we even thank Lagos State government for giving us optimum awareness that from so to so time, you should prepare yourself. There will be flood, and we have actually prepared. Even you can walk inside it. It is not more than 3 feet depth.
All of us cannot be at Ikoyi. We cannot be at Aja. We cannot be at Okota. They should value the people living here. What we need there for this Sajegule is drainage.
Well, we knew that this is annual visitor. So that's how the flood usually comes. And when it comes, within few weeks, it will also go back. To some people, they are comfortable living here because there are some people that are fishing here. And when the flood comes, that is when they are making money. So they catch fish, and when they catch the fish, they sell. And from there, they are making a lot of money. And to my own belief, every area in the world are also experiencing such. So our own too has come, and as it has come, we know that very soon it will go.
The Oyon River Dam, located in Ogun State, releases water annually to prevent structural damage and reduce flood risks. However, the release impacts surrounding communities, particularly those along the Ogun River channels that extend into Lagos.
It is crucial to understand that the dam's annual operations are informed by real-time hydrological data, rainfall prediction from the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET), and flood outlook from the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency (NISA). These sources guide the water release decisions, ensuring both flood control and integrity of the dam. Notably, 62.1% of the dam's flood control capacity remains intact, meaning the Oyon Dam is not under any imminent threat of releasing excess water beyond safe limits.
The Lagos State government says it has carried out dredging and maintenance in several locations to mitigate the impact of the water release. They are also appealing to residents to avoid actions that contribute to flooding.
All over the world, the practice is when a disaster is approaching, the advisory is given, kindly leave this place to a safer place. It's when it becomes a disaster that the government can now pick them into the IDP camps or whatever camp. And that becomes the remit of LASEMA or NEMA. We owe this environment a major duty to leave it better than we met it.
As Lagos, a city barely above sea level, continues to grow rapidly, the state faces increasing pressure to implement more proactive solutions. Without such measures, the most vulnerable residents will remain at the mercy of these recurring floods.
Green Angle returns in just a moment. Stay with us. And finally, after 2 weeks of negotiations at the UN Climate Action Summit in Baku, Azerbaijan, countries adopted the $300 billion global finance target to help poorer countries deal with the impacts of climate change. But while the agreement was celebrated by some, others criticized it as inadequate.
World leaders gathered in Baku, Azerbaijan for the 29th United Nations Climate Summit. After 2 weeks of intense negotiations, a new climate finance deal was reached, but not without controversy. Rich countries have pledged $300 billion annually by 2035 to help poorer nations combat climate change, triple the previous $100 billion commitment. While this is a significant increase, many developing nations have criticized the deal as falling far short of what's needed to address the scale of the crisis.
Countries are taking the lead. This is an insult to what the convention says. Should I remind us of what the convention says? That it noted that developed countries had the largest share of historical and current global emissions. This might be 1994, but it's still very current till now. It also said that the developed countries will take the lead, and this lead is climate finance. That the developing country is saying that it's taking the lead with $300 billion till 2035 is a joke.
We are extremely disappointed at the lack of progress on issues critical to Africa. We remind all that Africa's share for global emissions remains negligible. If the world overshoots the 1.5 degrees goal, it will not be because of Africa, and yet it is Africa that stands to bear the brunt of that failure.
The proposed goal shall not solve anything for us. In fact, we have to implement ambitious indices and economic challenges that we need to navigate and address the adaptation needs. The amount that is proposed to be mobilized is abysmally poor. It's a paltry sum. It is not something that will enable conducive climate action that is necessary for the survival of our country and for the growth of our people, their livelihoods. And I'm sorry to say that we cannot accept it.
And that's not the only controversial decision at COP29. New rules for carbon credit trading were approved under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. These allow high-emission countries to buy carbon offsets from developing nations. Supporters say this could bring much-needed investments to projects like reforestation and clean energy in poorer countries. But critics warn that without strict oversight, carbon markets could be misused to greenwash polluters' activities, delaying real emissions cut.
Carbon trading, carbon credits is not solving the climate problem. It's only giving the license to polluters to do more, to pollute more. And of course, it's also creating carbon colonialism and carbon slavery in poor countries, where communities are now going to be forced to watch over carbon in trees or in the river or in the soil, instead of being helped to adapt to the crisis they did not create.
Last year at COP28 in Dubai, leaders made history by recognizing the need to face down coal, oil and gas. This year, however, the language was less direct, simply referencing the Dubai commitment. Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev, in his keynote speech, even described fossil fuels as a gift from God, sparking further controversy.
To accuse us that we have oil is the same like to accuse us that we have more than 250 sunny days a year in Baku. Countries should be judged by other criteria. Countries should be judged by other criteria. For instance, level of unemployment in Azerbaijan, it is 5.4%. Level of poverty, it is 5.2%. Our green agenda, I already described our plans. So these are, and many other, important criteria which should be a basis for kind of evaluation of the country's performance, but not the country's natural resources, which are the gift of the God.
So is the global fight against climate change losing momentum? Despite years of agreement, emissions and temperatures continue to rise, with 2024 set to be the hottest year ever recorded.
Look in the country, can you believe that?
Adding to the uncertainty is Donald Trump's return to the global stage. His recent election victory and promises to withdraw the United States from climate efforts have dampened optimism among delegates. The clock is ticking and the stakes couldn't be higher. Can these steps lead to the transformational change the planet desperately needs? Or will history remember Baku as another missed opportunity?
Mic check, 1, 2, mic check. Do you analyze if you're ready? Fossil-powered cars and how a green growth expert is the debate over genetically modified organisms by repairing, reusing and recycling them. This reduces waste, creates value by keeping the materials in use for as long. And how a green growth expert is providing a multi-stakeholder effort aimed at reducing coastal litter in Lagos and its environs while contributing, while also creating. In this edition of Green Angle, we explore how Isheri North residents in Lagos, Nigeria are preventing future floods after devastating. -1, just one more notch. And that's about it on this week's edition of the program. Until I come your way next time, remember, together, we can build a sustainable world. I am Esther Makwariola. Bye for now.